This podcast is part of a series of podcasts designed to help you prepare for the next exam diet. In this podcast, we will look at some common errors that students make in exams, and we'll discuss how you can avoid making these errors. We will also look at exam preparation. Not following the instructions on an exam paper is a very common fault, and it's something that can be easily remedied by taking 5 to 10 minutes at the beginning of the exam to read over the paper. In this 5 to 10 minutes, you can work out how many questions you have to answer and how long you can spend on each question. In this time, you should also decide which questions you will answer and what exactly the questions are asking you. Pay particular attention to how many questions you should answer and from what section you should answer the questions from. For example, if you're told to answer 3 questions, then you cannot pass an exam if you only answer 2 questions, despite how good these 2 answers are. Also, you may be told to answer 2 questions from one section and 1 from another. Not answering the question asked is another common fault. This generally happens if students see a topic they recognise and then write as much about it as they can without paying close attention to what is actually being asked. For example, if a question asks you to compare and contrast 4 things, make sure you compare and contrast all 4. Also, some questions have 2 parts. You could be asked to discuss a theory and then see how it works in practice. Also, make sure you refer to the materials and themes that you covered in class. It is unlikely you'll be asked about something that has not been covered in a lecture. Referring to concepts learned in class and linking this to further reading you have done shows a marker that you've not only understood the basics, but have conducted further reading to help you apply your knowledge. Running out of time is another common error. To help with this, as mentioned, you should work out at the beginning of the exam how long you have to spend on each question. So, for a 3-hour exam in which you have to answer 3 questions, you should plan to spend 5 to 10 minutes reading over the paper, selecting your questions, and then another 5 minutes per question writing a plan of what you will put in your answer. This will give you approximately 50 minutes to actually write each answer. Allocating time to each question is important, as the time should also be directly linked to how many marks the question is worth. For example, if one question is worth 5 marks and another 10, then you know that you'll have to spend twice as long on the 10-mark question. Having timings will help you keep on track and not run out of time at the end. It is important to remember that you've gained a lot of knowledge over the course of your programme so far. Knowing that you have exams coming up can be very stressful, but try not to let your nerves take over and disrupt your preparations. We will look at coping with nerves in a different podcast. Even if you have previously failed an exam, please don't let this make you think that you aren't able to pass your next attempt. With some hard work, you will be able to correct where you went wrong in the first diet and will be a better student overall due to the experience. Remember to make the necessary practical preparations for your exam. Being worried about an exam can sometimes make you forget things like taking your matriculation card and the number of pens. Also, make sure you check and double check the time and location of your exam. You don't want all your hard work to go to waste by having the wrong date and time. The purpose of this podcast was to help you think about your exam preparations and how you can avoid some of the common faults that markers encounter. The next podcast in this series will discuss what you should do in the actual exam and how to cope with nerves.